intersections where you have the worst, and we would start there. And then we would present the city of Zanesville with a very thick, in-depth engineering report on each one of those intersections with our conclusions and recommendations about where we should start first, second, third. Because once again, we don't want to come into Zanesville and put 10 cameras in on day one. We think that's bad business, and we think it screams revenue grab, not safety. And so we got to go through the engineering process. We got to take our time. Got to do it the right way, and we have to be able to say to the community, we are putting cameras at this intersection because of this data, these car counts, these accidents, and these red light running counts. And that's the way the process works.
And if I can add, that is very, very important, not only for your community, but for us also, because as you know, we're making a significant investment up front without any dollars being given to us by the community. We just had a community in Florida that signed a contract with us. We came in and did the engineering study, and off of Highway 1, US 1, and we came back and gave them a report and said, unfortunately, you don't have a problem. You know, they had some statistics. They weren't that significant, but the short answer to this is we want to be sure that we do it right. And we're not about to jeopardize our 50 years in the industry just to put a camera up to enforce traffic laws. There has to be a problem, and we think that's very important, because you're going to want to see a result. So what we did in that case, we basically shook hands, parted ways, and the community understood. They gave it a shot. It wasn't there, and kind of moved on.
Is there any kind of internal review process before violations are sent to the city, or is that all automated? Is there somebody looking at the pictures and tapes, or how does your guys' process work on that?
There's really a two-step review. When we set up the system, of course, we work with you. You make the determination as to where photograph 1 is taken, as Yancey showed. Usually it's before the violation point, the stop line. Photo 2 is in the intersection. The video. We work through all the business rules. What are the exceptions? A funeral procession, an emergency vehicle, whatever those exceptions are.
Maybe stay under 5 miles an hour on the right turn,
exactly.
Those kinds of things.
So once we put all that data together, when we start in the warning period for 30 days, that's our time where we work together with engineering and the police department to tweak the system. We're looking at images and saying, well, maybe we need to take the picture 100th of a second before that. When we finally start going live, what we do is when the photographs get downloaded at our processing center, we say, let's look at the business rules for Zanesville and apply those rules to these photographs. If they meet the rules, then we look at the license plate and we run NLETS. NLETS is a national database where we can get the registered owner's information. If that matches up, then there's a second review by a supervisor to make sure that plate matches the vehicle and it is a bona fide violation that meets the city's business rules. If for some reason the plate doesn't match up, that's part of the business rules. What do we do? And every city is different. So once we've had 2 reviews, we run the plate. We then send them to the city, where, as Yancey showed, someone from the police department normally signs on and goes through those images and either approves or disapproves the violation. And it's in our best interest, if you think of our model, the way we bill the city is to get it right, not be sending you all kinds of extra violations. There was a situation in Florida that one city down there snapped 10,000 photographs in, I think, 3 months. The police department approved 3,900 of them. That's terrible. That's a waste of time by the police department to look at all these photographs. And it goes back to accuracy and detection. So we want to make sure that we're not sending garbage forward, that it truly meets your business rules.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Good question.
If you send something forward and it's, I guess, not allowed or whatever, disapproved, is the city then charged for that even though it was disapproved, or is it disapproved and then it's just nothing?
Well, it really depends on the pricing model that we put forth. We have many communities that use a pricing model that we do not charge for that. It just depends how we negotiate that. But most likely there would not be a cost.
What's the time between taking of the picture of the violation and person getting the violation?
3 to 5?
Yeah, usually 3 to 5
3 to 5
days.
days.
Questions?
Well, if someone doesn't pay, what happens then? If they don't pay, do we have to, the city have to go after that person for payment?
But typically, unless there is some sort of less meat in your local ordinance, and I don't know what that would be, most cities use third-party collection agencies. That after 2 or 3 attempts by us, we send warning letters, we send a notice, it'll be turned over to collections, just like you would maybe a parking ticket or some other code violation that you have to collect revenue from. They turn it over to the third-party collection agencies who then get a percentage of that.
But there is a group of people out there where you're chasing good money after bad, which is...
Philosophically, we're not in the collection business, and we believe we need to stay away from that.
But I will tell you that the number of people who pay online is rapidly increasing all the time. And I don't know if it's that aw shucks moment when they watch themselves on the video run the red light, but the people who go online, the payment percentage of that is very, very high.
We're seeing about 68 to 70%.
Is the payment to you dependent on payment received by the city or by citations issued?
We would do payment received by the city.
It's the only fair way to do
It is. And we also think that, there are some companies that will charge a monthly camera cost, $2,000 or $4,000 a month. We don't believe that's a sound way to utilize your funds here in the city, because if the whole goal is to reduce accidents from red light running, those violation rates are going to go down. That means the income that you will generate will go down as well. We never want a situation where we are making more money than you. That's a bad situation. And there are many programs out there that have that situation occurring, and it's just a matter of time before they get closed down. So for us, the risk is, and as Yancey said, it's a violator-funded program. If you don't run the red light or don't speed, it doesn't take your picture. If we're achieving our goal to reducing accidents, we're going to generate less revenue for you, unfortunately, but at the same time, we're getting less too.
A couple common questions that I get is, okay, I've come up to the red light and I've stopped, but I'm over the edge of the stop bar. I went too far, but I stopped. Do I get a ticket? And the answer is no, because in the second photograph, you're still sitting there, so there's no violation. And then the other piece of it is that, as I talked about that 1/10 of a second delay, as long as you cross that edge of that stop bar, you're not going to get a ticket. You have to blatantly run the red light with our system to get a ticket. We want to err on the side of the driver.
Well, similar question then. What if I'm approaching an intersection and 1/10 of a second before it switches from yellow to red, I've crossed, the front of my car's crossed the stop bar. So you take a picture when it turns red and it correctly is showing me over the stop bar, and then it shows me in the intersection, but I crossed
If you cross the bar, if you cross
and I
the...
have to clear the intersection by Ohio law, I can't stop in the middle of the intersection. So your two pictures I don't see where they show that scenario, where we
If
protect that
you
person.
cross the stop bar 1/10 of a second before the light turned red, we're not going to take your picture. You won't. The camera's not even on. The camera doesn't turn on until the light turns red, 1/10 of a second, and then the camera turns on. Then we would take your picture. But if you, as you said, if you cross that stop bar 1/10 of a second before it turns red, the camera's not on. It won't take your picture.
And there's a multitude of scenarios that we work through, because some cities are different about what they do things. We have some cities that say, if I drive into the intersection and it's green and I get stuck in traffic and the light turns red, is that a violation? The majority of cities say that's no violation. Some say, metropolitan cities, that's what they call blocking the box.
Like in New York City or something like
It's
that.
an impediment, and that is a violation. So there's a whole list of things that we do, to your example, that we go through and we say, what is your decision? What's your business rule related to this?
And most of those questions like that are not, what does the company do? It's, the technology will do whatever the city wants to do. And then you give us the guidelines, we discuss them with our experience, and then we'll program the system the way you want it to be.
So, are you finished, Scott? So, is your cameras only still shot camera photos, or will the violator be able to see a few seconds before the red light, them approaching the stop bar and then traveling through in a moving picture?
That's the video clip.
In a video clip, they'll be able to do that.
Remember the video clip of the truck I showed in the, the light's red, and you're seeing things happening, and then you see the truck actually run the red lights.